Well, last time I was here was in 1990, and it was before I ever had a factory ride. And shortly after that, I signed on with Honda for 6 years, and then I've had a great long career. I've won many championships, and I'm super happy to be back. My mom was raised here, and we have family here, so it's a nice place, a special place.
Hi, I'm Jeremy McGrath, and it's showtime.
The man they call Showtime has won the AMA Supercross Championship 7 times and the world title twice. McGrath's last visit was in 1990. He left on a winning note and wants to do the same this time around.
Yeah, it's kind of come full circle, It's been a lot of years. 1990, I think, was the last time I was here, and frankly, I can't really remember the track until I got here, and I remembered how small this arena was, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's fun.
He mightn't think it's fun when he sees how determined the Aussies are. Fresh from his top 10 run in the AMA, Michael Byrne leads the local charge.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting, lining up against Jeremy after being over there in America. It's definitely makes me feel like I'm back there.
Byrner's Honda stablemate Cam Taylor is second in the championship, focused on more than just McGrath. Like Byrne, KTM's Craig Anderson is one of the few riders to have raced against the American. That doesn't make it any easier for our series leader.
I guess I'm pretty nervous right now, but I'm just out looking forward to have fun. I've raced Jeremy before, so it's not anything new, and I think Byrner's the same. I think we're just going to have a good, nice racing. It's going to be fun.
Kawasaki are trying a three-pronged attack with Lee Hogan, Danny Ham and Craig Carmichael. And there's plenty of nerves in the Suzuki pit. Darryl Hurley and Paul Broomfield going head-to-head with their hero for the first time.
I've never been in awe of anybody, and Jeremy arrived and I was a bit taken aback by it. I didn't think I would be, but watching him on the track, sort of getting used to it now. But certainly initially I was a little bit in awe and taken back, but it's a terrific experience.
McGrath's trademark knack-knack kicked off the freestyle revolution. Jono Porter and Luke Urich will keep the dream alive by showing you the latest tricks in today's expression session. This is round 9 of the Australian Supercross Masters.
And this is it, double magic, what the fans have all been waiting for. Showtime, Jeremy McGrath for Yamaha Australia on bike 1, preparing to test his wits and his skills against Australia's best. The gate comes down, we're away in heat 1. Craig Anderson makes a beautiful start. Brad Hibbert has fallen, but the racing continues here with O'Neill Honda's Cameron Taylor on the attack. Look at Ando. Craig Anderson, the Newcastle Flyer, out in front with bike 1. Jeremy McGrath tucked in behind him. Cameron Taylor on bike 15 for O'Neill Honda. Been quickly relegated back to 3rd place, but keep an eye on this man. The Yamaha Australia, the San Diego Flyer, knows exactly what it takes to win at any kind of Supercross on any track, although a bit of a bobble for him there, and Taylor takes the opportunity to nearly whiz past him on the outside. Watch McGrath now try and fight back. This is a big moment, especially for our leader Craig Anderson. Of course, he has raced against McGrath previously, so this occasion not too much for him. and it'll certainly be a big confidence booster for Ando, whose lead in this championship has been narrowing in the last couple of rounds if he can get to the checkered flag first in this one. See Taylor continuing to attack the rear guard of Jeremy McGrath. I don't think he'll be able to make a move here, the American, just feeling his way into it. The opening heat of the night, just checking his lines and making sure he's on song for the rest of the evening. The last lap board is now on display. Look at the way the American takes that centre section, 3 and 2, and now in the stutters in 2 left. But it will be Craig Anderson who takes first blood here when he works his way around to the No Fear tabletop. McGrath will finish second. You can see Ando's pumped with that.
I have a 426 and I've toyed with it a little bit. We have a big race at home, Mammoth Motocross, and I race some 4-strokes there. But I like 2 strokes. It takes a long time to get adjusted to the 4-stroke, and I don't know. I think I'm a little bit more of a technical rider, and I think you can be a little bit more along those lines with the 2-stroke. Nothing against the 4-stroke. I like 250s.
Our starter preparing now to ignite this field into action. Mickey Cook there on 9, Shane Metcalfe on 7. The man himself, Jeremy McGrath on 1. Look at the way he attacks the opening corner. Somebody's bitten the dust. I think it's Matthew McKenna on a Suzuki. The way we go with Showtime, doing it superbly out in front. This 7 times AMA Supercross champion, fulfilling many people and many spectators' dreams here this weekend just by merely turning up. But he's not here just to show people what he can do. He is here to win. The man is certainly driven with a fierce determination. He loves to get out there and turn the quickest lap time that he possibly can on each and every circulation. This will certainly help raise the bar of local competition here in Australia. You see him there, he triple and doubles that section. Young Shane Metcalfe, the 19-year-old South Australian, chasing him here. Put yourself in his shoes for a moment. His idol out ahead of him by about 5 metres. He's chasing him down. It's a big moment for him. Oh, he'll be enjoying this. What's happened? I think Metcalfe's dropped the bike. He has. He's thrown it away, so perhaps the occasion got the better of him there. The O'Neill Honda rider dropping the machine. But isn't it great to just watch this man in action? You see him here. He doubles this section. Takes it through the berm very casually. You see him kicking the bike out in the opposite direction. His mechanic is here with him from America, Skip Norfolk. His long-time Honda mechanic who joined him again just this year in his own Yamaha team in the States. And look at that, the trademark knack-knack from Jeremy McGrath. One of the jumps that really did kick off the frenzied world of freestyle motocross. The man they call Showtime, turning it on for us here this evening.
I think my advice is to, take it serious, and once you achieve at a certain level, never stop, going for your goals, because I think in the U.S. a lot of kids, they come up and once they get to a certain level of popularity or whatever, they always kind of, they kind of quit a little bit, and I think you need to just reach for the stars and don't stop until you get there.
Interesting stuff, a bit of an insight into what does make this American legend of Supercross racing tick. Wise goes, starting gate comes down, we're away. Couple of Hondas in this one to look out for. The Burner, Michael Byrne, aboard his Pirelli Honda on bike 2. Of course, there's McGrath on 1, Darryl Hurley on bike 6. Shane Metcalfe is also in this. And Jeremy McGrath is really going to have to work for this one. The Burner in the lead. He's already gapped Darryl Hurley by a couple of lengths. And again, Hurley, the man that he grew up idolising in McGrath, chasing him now through the stutters. So a pretty big moment for the New Zealander. At 23 years of age, trying to carve his own niche in Australian Supercross racing. McGrath looks to the inside, he's really nipping at his wheels, and look at that! He cuts a beautiful slide job on the inside. Didn't even have to make contact. That was pinpoint accuracy from one of the world's finest. We watch him now over the Kawasaki triple jump, and the chase is on. The Queenslander, Michael Byrne, who has spent the first 6 months of this year racing in America against Jeremy McGrath, Ricky Carmichael, and the rest of the American riders, is out in front in his home turf. with Showtime chasing him down. His Yamaha over the doubles there through KTM turn. You can see the last lap board now on display. And look how hard McGrath is trying here. Michael Byrne putting together a faultless display aboard his Pirelli Honda. Of course, the Byrner gearing up for a big assault. A factory Honda ride next year in the States in the 125cc West Coast Championship. And the Byrner gets a win on the board. Jeremy McGrath finishes second and Hurley rounds out the three. Semi-final number one in the hands of our starter. He ignites this pumped up field into action. Taylor on the inside and Hurley doing a bit of bar banging through turn number one. Who's going to gain the upper hand here? I think it's Daryl Hurley aboard his Team Axo Silkaleen Suzuki who gets the nod. The enforcer Cameron Taylor from Victoria aboard his O'Neill Honda in second. Right behind him his arch rival for this championship, the 23-year-old Novocastrian Craig Anderson for Team Castrol KTM. Very important in these semi-finals to finish either first, second or third to make the direct transfer through to the final. The 20-lap final to come up shortly. You see Cameron Taylor there protecting the inside line. He knows that Anderson will be lurking somewhere there behind him. So at the moment, from the manufacturer's point of view, we've got Suzuki, Honda and KTM in that order. Of course, it was Daryl Hurley, the New Zealander, who does take the checkered flag as he roars across the tabletop. Time now for the second semi. The clutches are dumped and turn one now set to come to life. Look at McGrath, the Byrner on the inside of him, but no answer to America's finest as Jeremy McGrath just blew around the outside of him like a man possessed. Well, the shoe now is on the other foot. We saw in an earlier heat race it was the Byrner out in front and Jeremy McGrath trying desperately to reel him in. He couldn't quite do it on that occasion. We'll see whether Michael Byrne's got anything for McGrath here as they give it a squirt and clear the Team Green triple jump. The Byrner now trying to take some different lines to McGrath. Of course, most of the experienced riders will do that. They will not sit back and follow the leader, if you like. Always trying to find an innovative, perhaps a faster line around the racetrack. And Michael holding his own pretty well here. A 7-time AMA Supercross champ, 2 times world champ. Of course, 2 times winning Motocross Des Nations USA team member as well in McGrath. Continuing to show him the way around this track. Around the right-hander, they gas it up over the triple jump once again. McGrath looking good for a good pick on the starting gate for the final here. Of course, the 2 winners of the semi-finals get the first 2 picks on our Wiseco starting line for the big 20-lapper. Watching McGrath through the stutters, picture of concentration there. See, he lost a little bit of traction coming out of that turn, but he was still able to make the triple jump quite easily. 1 lap now remaining. The Byrner continues to clamour over the rear guard of Jeremy McGrath's number 1 Yamaha Australia entry, with the American appearing very composed out in front. We watch him now, defensive line through the final turn, and victory is his in semi-final number 2. The Byrner finishes second. Let's now hear from McGrath.
For Melbourne, put your hands together in the semi-final. He's done it, one of the semi-finals. We've still got the final to go. Jeremy McGrath. That was an awesome ride. And a lot of us in the media before you arrived here, I think, thought that you'd come here and clean up. But some of these Aussie riders, Craig Anderson and in particular Michael Byrne in that heat, really pressured you.
Yeah, the track's so small, you know, everyone's equal here. I think those guys are riding really good, and I got a great start. If you get out in front, it's pretty hard to get past, and likewise, if you're trying to catch up, it's hard to pass, so it's all in the start.
Finals yet to come. We've talked a lot about racing here tonight, but what about your love for Australia? You came here 11 years ago and raced, but there's a bit of a family involvement here too, isn't there?
Yeah, we have some family over here, and my mom's mom, and brothers and sisters, and nieces and nephews, and everything. And it makes for a great race. It's good to come over here and get a little fan visit and stuff like that. So it's good.
We're enjoying having you down under. Well done on the semi-final, and good luck in the final.
All right, thanks a lot.
There he is, folks, Jeremy McGrath. Wish him all the best in the big one, the final tonight here at the Rod Laver Arena.
Time now for the last chance qualifier, first and second only to make the transfer. The charging to turn number 1 is on Paul Broomfield. The West Australian on bike 31 makes a demon start aboard his team Axo Silcoline Suzuki. And how about the scrap for second and third? Gee, it nearly ended in the hay bales there for the South Australian Shane Metcalfe. He gasses it over the Team Green triple. He's going to need to be patient here. Reggie Melton, the seasoned campaigner, on his Wales motorcycle. Kawasaki sits in second. He gets past him, but Reggie comes back at him. Nearly takes him over the berm, and Lee Hogan now joins the fray. In fact, Hogan very nearly jumped on the head of Melton there across the triple jump. So Lethal Lee living up to his nickname as he goes after his fellow Kawasaki pilot in Reggie Melton. So the chase is on here. 3 into 1 just don't go. As we see Metcalfe pressuring Hogan, the Victorians at 29 years of age, former Australian champion, holding out the young gun in Metcalfe, a former multiple junior national champion. O'Neill Honda, his supporter as we watch him square up the turn. He gives it a fistful. Hogan again blocks him through the turn. Over the triple jump. Broomfield continues to lead. Look at Metcalfe. Gives it a squirt in the dirt, and his O'Neill Honda launches through. Now I think up into second place. He now is not happy with that. Begins his assault on Paul Broomfield, the West Australian, who rides defensively, and Metcalfe launches over the top of him in a sensational pass. The last chance qualifier. It's had everything. Metcalfe takes the win, and Broomfield goes with him.
$1,000 up for grabs in the No Fear expression session, and John Flint starts it with a one-handed saran wrap.
He makes it look pretty easy, doesn't he? The young Victorian who now is specialising in freestyle motocross, and he goes again there with a hill clicker, no-hander lander, as we watch it here, showing great agility, and he lands it like not too many can.
Beautiful landing now. Jono Porter in action. Same move.
Well, JP, an absolute crowd favourite. Let's not forget that coming up just after this is his final in the 1-2-5s. He goes a big Superman. Look at the upper body strength. I know we say this every time we see it, Greg, but it takes a great amount of strength to nail that sort of jump.
What's he got in store for us now? Jono Porter has a look at... Oh! Tough landing there. It's like a one-handed catwalk or something.
Well, he was trying some sort of innovation there, and a brutal landing for JP. That one must have hurt.
Luke Urich in action now. And a shin scraper to kick things off.
Yep, shin scraper come Cordova. That was a good start from Luke Urich, who again specialises in freestyle motocross. Let's watch this one again. He goes with a nice cliffhanger, clears the No Fear banner easily.
Things are close between he and Jono Porter. What can he come up with this time around? A Superman seat grab, but he's come down.
Oh, he's miscued on the landing. He didn't quite get back on the seat properly, did Luke Urich, and he's bottomed out, thrown it away, and consequently, the crowd giving him the sympathy vote and the $1,000 thanks to No Fear. Time now to check out the 125cc final. The Wise Coast starting gate is down. We are underway. Carmichael on the inside. Jono Porter on bike 8. A couple have fallen. Shane Boyd and Nicky Irwin, the two that have dropped it. We pick up the leaders. Look out. Jono Porter jumps right over the left shoulder, I think it was, of Craig Carmichael. That was a mighty manoeuvre and a brave one at that. JP on bike 8 for Team Axo Silcoline Suzuki, just about going for the oxygen mask there. Amazing stuff. And he now has already gapped both Carmichael and Doran. Now Doran has managed to slip past Carmichael on the first lap. Let's watch the start again. Doran on bike 1 making a very good start. Boyd a little crossed up. Actually clips the rear wheel of Doran, and Irwin, the young New Zealander, nowhere to go, and a bit of a domino type effect there in turn 1. Let's get back now to the sharp end of this pack. Troy Doran has closed on Jono Porter. A slight mistake there from Doran. You can see he's worried. He looks over his right shoulder just to make sure that a buzzing crankcase from a Kawasaki 125 wasn't about to land on him. Again, another slight mistake from Doran, an uncharacteristic mistake, and that gives JP some real breathing space. A young Queenslander at 20 years of age, all the way from Gladstone in northern Queensland. He's going for a maximum haul of 20 points in this final if he can get the job done. It is not over yet, that's for sure. We've seen Porter in a winning position previously and throw it away. Second, look at this. Carmichael puts a great block pass on Troy Doran and moves into second. Porter looks as though he's set to take the win. He does it in great style. Carmichael, this could be very important in the championship, gets across the line in second and Doran third.
Yeah, I think I've always been pretty mature and wise on the track. I mean, I try not to put myself in dangerous situations, and you know, I think I've always had I think the experience does help, and I feel pretty well experienced.
Over 15,000 fans here at Melbourne Park in the Rod Laver Arena preparing to watch this man in action over 20 flying lap. Time now for turn one attention. 8 of the best ready to put their skills to the test as we go racing. McGrath, what an awesome start up the inside. Gives it a fistful through the turn, and he is out of there. Look at the gap he's got already over the enforcer Cameron Taylor on his O'Neill Honda bike 15. Michael Byrne on bike 2. He's there in third place at this very early juncture. Shane Metcalfe on bike 7. His O'Neill Honda pretty well placed in 4th. And in behind them, the current points leader, the Newcastle rider in Craig Anderson. So the Honda brigade here, very strong at the moment. The Berners Pirelli Honda feeling some heat from his O'Neill Honda compatriot in Shane Metcalfe. The Queenslander and the South Australian having a very good battle. And there's Ando showing Metcalfe his front mudguard in an attempt to worry him out of commission. The Burner showing some very good form, although this 20-lap final is certainly going to test him. He hasn't really been broadcasting this fact, but he was out of action a couple of weeks back. Had to undergo surgery to remove his tonsils, and therefore his preparation for this big weekend in Melbourne has certainly been hampered. But this is the man that we've all come to watch here this weekend. Jeremy McGrath on bike 1 for Yamaha Australia. The man that has won everything really that is worth winning in the world of Supercross and motocross in the States. Of course, these days he focuses on Supercross racing. His training regime, it's pretty impressive. 3 times a week, generally a Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday he trains on the motorcycle. Some gym work involved in that as well. Thursday is generally his travel day. Friday, of course, practice at the races. Friday evening, an autograph session for his legion of fans across the states. Saturday, generally his competition day, and Sunday, his rest day. So it's pretty full-on life as a full-time Supercross pilot. And hasn't he done it well over the years? But what about this man, the enforcer from Victoria, Cameron Taylor? 3 times has been a series runner-up in Supercross Masters competition. A former Australian champion. He's represented Australia at Motocross the Nations level and has also been victorious at Pan Pacific Supercross level. This man is a real veteran of Australian Supercross and motocross racing, and he's giving 110% tonight. And such is the pace and the calibre of the opposition in the form of McGrath that he, the Burner and company, are just struggling to go with him. So the Burner may well be feeling the effects of that tonsil operation here. The longer this race goes on, he'll really be trying to get some fresh oxygen into the lungs to help him through the final few laps. As we watch Jeremy McGrath here, keeping very centralised on the motorcycle, really attacking these obstacles before the bike has even hit the deck. He's gassing it up, and look at him now with his trademark move over the Team Green triple. He knows he's won this one and won it convincingly. Showtime doing it superbly in Melbourne, and Michael Byrne will follow him through into second place. And the 15,000 fans here in Rod Laver Arena going nuts. Let's hear from the winner.
And how about it, Melbourne? He came and arrived and annihilated. Jeremy McGrath has done it. "11 years ago, you arrived here for your first race down under, and you've returned in exactly the same way you've left. Well done."
Thanks a lot. Yeah, I had a great race. My Yamaha put me right out in front, and from there it wasn't too much of a problem. The track was pretty good tonight. It was a little tight, and I needed to get a great start like that, so that helped.
In the opening heats, it seemed Australia's Michael Byrne and Craig Anderson had you measured. Were you saving a little something in the tank for the final?
I really wasn't trying to save anything. I was trying to win each race I was coming out with, and I just happened to get a great start in the final right there, and that's the one that counted the most, and everything worked out perfectly.
Talking about those Aussies, are you impressed with them? Michael in particular rode very well tonight.
Yeah, all the guys rode really well tonight. You know, I didn't just come out and win every race. Craig rode great, and Michael rode great, and Hurley rode great. Everyone, there was a lot of fast guys tonight, and you know, I'm just happy to be up here on the top.
Final one for you. You're feeling fit. This is one round. You've still got another one to go while you're here in Melbourne.
Yeah, I feel fine. There's no problem out there. That was a pretty short race considering the standards that we race at home, and you know, I've been working at home and I've been training hard, so I mean, it's not really that tough out there to go 20 laps. So I'm good for tomorrow.
Much left for Jeremy McGrath to prove. You won just about everything there is in Supercross terms, isn't there?
Yeah, I have something to prove every Saturday night. You know, it's I've accomplished a lot of goals that I've ever set for myself, and you know, now it's about being the best I can be every Saturday night. And as you guys all know, if this year didn't go according to plan, so I need to get home and work a little harder and come out on top next year.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks a lot. I'd like to thank Dak Racing for giving me this great Yamaha tonight.
How about it, Melbourne? Congratulate him. He's got to back up and do it again tomorrow.
I think obviously this year I got my butt kicked pretty much. Finished second, and I'm gonna get my priorities a little more straight, start a little earlier, and you know, I think Ricky and Travis are the new kids out of the new generation, and those guys are the ones that are going to be fast. But for the majority of the guys, I think that it's all the same competition I've had over the years, and I think I just need to prepare myself a little better, and I don't think that'll happen again.
He's a superstar, he really is.
He's been described as the Tiger Woods of Supercross, a cool, quietly spoken American whose freakish ability on a dirt bike is awe-inspiring. Jeremy McGrath has won just about everything there is in Supercross, but the 29-year-old from San Diego isn't ready to hang up the helmet just yet.
I've achieved more than I ever set out to do. You know, it was kind of a surprise to have such a long career like this. And, you know, when I was younger, a lot of the guys that I looked up to retired when they were 25, 26. You know, I'm 29 and still at the top of my game. So, I mean, it's a surprise to me as long as it's lasted. But, hey, I got to ride it all the way out. You know, I can't stop too early.
McGrath admits to being surprised at his success. Since his last visit in 1990, he's become a two-time world champion and won the tough AMA Supercross series a staggering 7 times. Right now, there's no one better. The fans have expressed unprecedented interest in his down-under return, and with family members living here, McGrath couldn't wait to get back.
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot. Unfortunately, we get to come when it's wintertime, you know? I'd like to come spend a little bit more time here when it's a little warmer. And I mean, yeah, I think the people are great, and the language barrier is perfect because you can talk with people, and you know, unlike Europe, it's a little bit harder. Yeah, it's good.
McGrath says the nickname Showtime comes from his parents. Although he'll occasionally throw out a knack-knack during a race, he leaves showcasing tricks to freestylers. A smooth, accurate and aggressive rider, this steely-eyed American thrives on racing.
A lot of people in the Supercross scene here in Australia know you, obviously, but for other people that might be watching our show, they may not have heard of Showtime, for example. Tell us about the nickname and how you got it.
Well, it's something that my dad gave me when I was young because I was a little show-off when I was a kid. And, you know, there was no one around, just me, and I was always jumping and doing tricks and stuff when I was a little kid, and that's kind of where I got the nickname from my parents.
He came, he conquered, now he's got to do it all again. Round 9 of the Australian Supercross Masters belonged to Jeremy McGrath, but the 7-time AMA Supercross champion and dual world title holder didn't host the Aussies the way many thought.
I really wasn't trying to save anything. I was trying to win each race I was coming out with, and I just happened to get a great start in the final right there, and that's the one that counted the most, and everything worked out perfectly.
The championship is a top priority for Honda's Cam Taylor. Currently second in the points, he's determined to close the gap to KTM's Craig Anderson while learning as much as he can from the American.
I don't think he's no faster from lap to lap, but he's made no mistakes, you know, and he's probably doing that pace a little bit more comfortable than probably I am. So just through lappers, that's where he's so good.
A tough season as a privateer in the AMA Supercross Series taught Michael Byrne plenty. His top 10 finish impressive. Now McGrath is back on Byrner's home turf. He wants to show the American what he's learnt.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, you know, it's pretty hard to beat the king in his own game. So, no, we all gave it our best last night, you know. I beat him in a heat race, and then I had a good race with him in the semi. So, you know, I didn't get the best of starts in the final. I was, you know, back in third, and it took me a little while to get going.
Team Green has an experienced lineup hungry for a podium finish. Lee Hogan, Danny Ham and Craig Carmichael determined to show McGrath what they're made of. Kiwi Daryl Hurley has been a standout this season. He heads up the Suzuki squad, but admits to being nervous about racing his idol.
It's kind of hard to block it out. He is, you know, such a good rider, and I've watched him since I was, you know, 10 years old, and watched him on ESPN, and yeah, basically I've idolised him all my life, and you know, it seems really weird to be lined up next to him.
Luke Urick won the expression session last time around. Will it be Jono Porter's turn today? It's all ahead in round 10 of the Australian Supercross Masters at the Laver Arena, Melbourne Park.
Part 2 of Double Magic set to come our way. It's Heat 1 here on Sunday afternoon. Team Castrol, KTM's Craig Anderson up against Jeremy McGrath for Yamaha Australia. 8 very quick, flying 250 thoroughbreds launch into turn 1. McGrath a good start, but the enforcer Cameron Taylor carves him up, and McGrath very quickly dives back underneath him and takes the lead. Don't the crowd just love that? This is one of the reasons they've come to Rod Laver Arena this afternoon, and that is to watch perhaps the finest exponent of two-wheel Supercross racing ever in the history of this sport go at it around this very tough and demanding circuit. McGrath in control here. You can see he's leading by the entire length of the Team Green triple jump as he focuses and concentrates on the job at hand. In behind him, the enforcer from Victoria, Cameron Taylor, buoyed by his success. His top 4 finish last night. He's been slowly but surely making up points on Craig Anderson in this championship, and a good result today could send this championship right down to the wire. But let's watch this man for a moment. Absolute poetry in motion. I think he was born to throw his leg over a motorcycle. As we watch his style, hardly a mistake whatsoever around this track. He lines up now for the No Fear tabletop. Comes across the line now with 1 lap remaining. He's gapped Taylor, and he continues to make it look pretty easy out there on this demanding track. Through the stud as he goes, squares up the turn, gasses it up over the Team Green triple jump. 1 corner remaining. Showtime kicks off just as he finished last night, and that's with a victory.
You know, Supercross has changed a lot since I started, and you know, it's gotten so much bigger, and of course, you know, you can tell by us, Travis, myself, and Ricky getting on the Jay Leno show. That's pretty big. It's really big for the world of motorcycling, and you know, Supercross has really come a long way, and I think not only Australia but a lot of other countries have more talent, and it's a deeper field. And you know, when they come to the U.S., it's, you know, it's not only the U.S. riders anymore; it's a lot of everybody.
Heat 6 preparing for the blast. McGrath on 1, Cook on 9, Hogan 21, and Metcalfe on 7. The opening left-hander now has come to life. McGrath forced wide, and this will really make him work for it here. Something that we're not really used to, and that's seeing McGrath coming from near rear of the field. Look at him, second to last, coming through that turn. Why, gee, won't the riders out in front be getting on the hammer now? Knowing that McGrath is back there. Look at that, he's passed a couple of riders in one foul swoop. Oh, he's on fire here, McGrath. He's got the adrenaline pumping through the veins. We can see a Team Green Kawasaki ahead of him, and there's another one on the deck. I think it was the 25 machine. Here's McGrath now over the No Fear tabletop, setting his sights on Lethal Lee Hogan, the Team Green Kawasaki speedster. Caution flag out. Hogan, of course, a former Australian motocross and supercross champion. Now one of the real veterans of Australian racing. The same age as McGrath is Hogan at 29. Let's see if he can offer any kind of resistance here. McGrath squares up the turn, gives it a fistful and blast by Hogan like he's not even there, as if he almost cast a spell over Hogan. He appeared almost intimidated as the American maestro roared past him. Can he do the same with Mickey Cook, the super aggressive Queenslander, 12 times Queensland state champion? The pair of them going at it here. Mickey Cook will be determined to try and fend off his hero in McGrath. They line up now for the triple jump. McGrath gasses it up. The pair of them handlebar to handlebar on McGrath. Almost clips the Honda hay bale. He's forced to spin a quick 360, and that allows Mickey Cook to take the win. The ride of his life. McGrath second place and Hogan third.
It's funny because a few years ago I would have thought there's no way I would be racing at, you know, age 29, but you know, after this year, I mean, I didn't really know when. I was kind of playing it by ear, but now I think, you know, I have something to prove, and once again, and you know, I don't think I'm going to be retiring after next year.
Heat 7 should be a ripper. McGrath on 1, Byrne on 2, Hurley on 6. Metcalfe on 7 as we go racing into turn 1. Hurley to the inside, Michael Byrne also away quite smartly. McGrath hooks the inside line, gives it some revs, doesn't quite clear the triple, but he takes the lead with a fantastic pass. Well, that really is experience personified there. We look back at his BMX days. Of course, he raced quite seriously up until the age of 14 years of age. He relates BMX being a 45-second sprint and carrying many of the attributes from that into Supercross racing, particularly in the first lap of a race. With almost cat-like reflexes, McGrath really did go on the attack there, and it's now up to Michael Byrne aboard his Pirelli Honda to try and do something about this one-man juggernaut that has attacked Melbourne this weekend. Over the Team Green triple. Byrne still sitting a few bike peaks back. Tries a different line through the final turn on the track. A big rooster tail from the 2002 model YZ250 of McGrath. The Michael Jordan of Supercross racing clears the Team Green triple, and again sets his sights on the No Fear tabletop with one circulation remaining. Michael Byrne on 2. He's still there in second place. Shane Metcalfe on bike 7 continues to round out the top 3. Just watching McGrath do battle here. Really does open the throttle very early while he's coming down from various jumps. Goes on the attack throughout. Another win to Jeremy McGrath. Michael Byrne for second and Metcalfe third. The revs rise again. Clutches out, some trouble here heading into turn 1. Bikes going in all directions. McKenna and Hogan At least 2 riders involved in that melee in turn 1. Let's watch it again here. The traps are down. We're underway. A chain reaction. Broomfield tangling with McKenna. Swarovski and Hogan, unfortunately, falling off his machine in turn 1. But look at this for a race. It's on here. We've got Broomfield out in front. Anderson there on bike 5 for Team Castrol, KTM Racing. And Mick Cook on bike 9. They work their way through the centre part of the track. Hay bales flying everywhere here. Anderson trying to cover his line. Oh, he's under attack. Nearly throws it away. Oh, Mickey Cook off the bike big time after clipping the back of Craig Anderson's 250. A monumental crash. Cameron Taylor's taken the win. Look at this. Anderson nearly loses the bike. Seems to change his line over the triple. Cook with nowhere to go. Clips the back of Ando's bike. Falls awkwardly. And he is in serious trouble after this get-off. One of the largest over-the-bars incidents you are ever likely to see. You can see here the change of line from Anderson's 250. And the 12 times Queensland champ biting the dust big time. Let's hope he's going to be okay after that one. Such was the impact, his handlebar is actually broken in 2.
I think car racing, I was a little more into it when I was younger. And one thing I don't want to do is when I retire from racing is have a schedule like I do now. And if you race cars at home or wherever you race, it's busy. And, you know, I've spent a long time, 12 years, 13 years of my life, 7 days a week trying to be the best I can be. And when I'm finally done and can say, hey, I'm not going to race anymore, I'm just going to enjoy myself. I don't think I really want to have a serious schedule.
Semi-final number 1 now rockets away from our Wise Coast starting line. Team Castrol, KTM's Craig Anderson makes a good start, but I think you'll find it's Pirelli Honda's Michael Byrne and Cameron Taylor. No, they can't get past him. Ando with an excellent inside line there before the triple. He blocked them out beautifully. The Burner fighting for grip as he gasses it up over the No Fear tabletop. So out in front, at 23 years of age and already a 7 times Australian champion, Craig Anderson, doing it beautifully under the watchful eye of Mick Harris and Robbie Tyrold from Team Castrol KTM. He'll be hoping for the win here and a good pick on the starting gate for the final. Of course, Craig Anderson attempting this year to become the first rider to win 3 Australian Supercross Masters Championships. What a feat if he could do it. He's currently leading the points and riding rather conservatively here in this one and in this championship of late, desperately trying to protect the lead that he has. He's won the first semi.
I think Supercross stadium racing is good because everyone's right around. It's pretty much a show, and even though it's a race and it's a serious thing, everyone's right there. They can see the whole track. As far as motocross goes, it's a little harder to see the whole track, but I think they're both great, obviously.
Semi-final number 2, McGrath, Hurley, Metcalfe, McKenna and Bishop. Oh, Hurley going in the wrong direction. He turns it around. McGrath makes the most out of that, takes the tight line. Hurley clips his rear wheel and he's fallen off his Suzuki. What a helter-skelter start. And McGrath taking full advantage of this as he rolls the throttle on across the No Fear tabletop. Shane Metcalfe aboard his O'Neill Honda, tucked right in behind him at this early juncture. He'll be very pleased at this stage to be sitting inside the top 2 as he chases the man they call Showtime. Over the tabletop once again, these two clearing out on the rest of the pack as McGrath makes it look very easy out in front. Very much the master and the apprentice going at it here. The South Australian who hails from Mannum, South Australia's Riverina district, doing well and chasing the number 1 plated 2002 model YZ250. McGrath, absolutely awesome on a motorcycle. Watching him here in action certainly is great on the eyes as he charges out of the final turn again. He he squares up the turn through the middle section, triple and doubles that particular part of the track. And really, whilst Metcalfe is giving everything he's got, just not quite enough to match it with America's best. As Jeremy now gives it a squirt again across the team green triple jump. Here he is now, coming back right towards our camera. This man looks as though he's certainly got this one in the bag. His Yamaha has performed faultlessly, and he's riding that way as well as we watch him negotiate the team green triple jump. No Fear tabletop time. Semi number 2 belongs to McGrath. Last chance qualifier now. The gate is down. These guys charge into the opening turn. Hogan takes the corner. Paul Broomfield in there, and Daryl Hurley as well on bike 6. So plenty to race for here. First and second will make the transfer into the final. The New Zealander Daryl Hurley aboard bike 6. His team Axo Zilkaline Suzuki chasing Lethal Lee Hogan's team green Kawasaki at the moment. So they are the two that stand to transfer if the order remains as it is. In behind them, Paul Grant, the New South Welshman, doing his best, but not enough. Hogan and Hurley make the transfer. Hope you're ready for some small ball warfare as the 1-2-5 final gets the nod and away they go into the opening turn. Jono Porter makes an exceptional start on his team Axo Zilkaline Suzuki. And a touch of deja vu about this because JP set the pace last night in the final, and he's doing it again out in front with Troy Doran on bike 1, tucked in behind him, but trouble for Carmichael. He appears to have come down on the opening lap, so this really will play right into the hands of O'Neill Honda's Troy Doran. Of course, he and Carmichael locked in a titanic struggle for outright honours at the moment as far as the points go in this 1-2-5 championship. And it's Jono Porter who is still quite some distance back in 3rd or 4th place in the points going into this final. But JP really on a hiding to no one here as he keeps the hammer down. We watch the CR 1-2-5 of Troy Doran shooting for 3 Australian Supercross Masters crowns in succession this year. He's already won 3 in total and has really been Honda's mainstay over the past few years as far as garnering championships is concerned. But Jono Porter has been on fire this weekend. He looks as though he's going to double up. This electrifying Queensland competitor stringing it together for 2 successive finals, and he wins it, and isn't he pumped about it? The crowd enjoying his antics. Doran finishes 2nd.
When I was younger, I mean, I always used to watch Supercross. I wasn't really that into motocross, but when I was young, I liked Supercross a lot, and you know, my goal when I was younger was just to get to that level and ride those tracks, because I mean, I enjoy riding the motorcycle and I enjoy the jumps and stuff like that. And you know, when things started rolling and happening like they were, yeah, I don't think I had any doubt that I was going to win a title or 2, but I didn't have any idea I was going to win 7.
Well, this is it, the showdown for the Aussie riders, their last opportunity to beat McGrath on their home soil, and he's been squeezed on the start. The Byrner and Craig Anderson away magnificently. Taylor also going well. McGrath mired deep in the pack, down at about 5th place at the moment. This is really going to test the mettle of America's finest as he gasses it up over the No Fear tabletop. He swings it around now. The first rider he's going to tackle will be the New Zealander in Daryl Hurley, and he gets him up the inside. A very forceful manoeuvre. Now gets on the front brake, winds it around across the triple jump. Doesn't quite have enough momentum to jump the triple, and Hurley now goes on the counter-attack. Well, this will be a magnificent example of what Jeremy McGrath is capable of. For many years, there's been some detractors of this circuit, not enough floor space. The track very one-lined. Well, we saw him do it in an earlier heat race. We'll see what he can do here in the final. Already he's caught Craig Anderson, a 23-year-old Team Castrol gun, struggling to fend off the advances of the man who put S into Showtime. And McGrath's got him. Again, he loves that part of the track. So much speed through the 5-jump section. and now he's attempting to leave Anderson in his wake. The Castrol Tyro trying to stay with him. But just look at this man. Dynamite on a motorcycle. Anderson challenges, but McGrath has got all the answers at the moment. Ando again, quick look to the inside, but he can't do it there. McGrath fills him in with a massive rooster tail from the right-hander. And look at the gap between Jeremy and the two Hondas up ahead. Cam Taylor and Michael Byrne. They're hardly in shot here at the moment. That's how far they're ahead of him. Let's see if he can turn it on big time. The 29-year-old who just loves a challenge. Remember, twice he's been part of America's Motocross for Nations winning effort. Rates that as one of his career highlights up against the world's best. He's won an AMA Motocross Championship, couple of world titles, 7 times. He's won the most prestigious Supercross crown, the AMA Supercross title. So he's won everything that's worth winning in the world of this sport. The Burner on 2, there's Taylor on 15. They're really upping the ante here. These Australian riders absolutely hell-bent on trying to beat McGrath to the checkered flag. They're riding at 11 tenths. Remember, the Burner, perhaps of the two, could be the man to do it after his recent US experience, where he finished 9th in the AMA Supercross Championship. First Australian to run top 10. It was a mighty effort from the Burner. But McGrath, he's coming. You can see he's narrowing the gap. Now there's only about 5 bike lengths separating he and Cameron Taylor. Who said you couldn't pass on this racetrack? McGrath absolutely stalking them, proving that if you're fast enough and good enough, you can do anything on this Rod Laver Arena circuit. The track, of course, constructed by Jeff Kerrin. And a good one it is too, as McGrath clears the Team Green triple. Taylor now, out of the corner of his eye, would be able to see the number 1, the menacing number 1 plate on the YZ 2002 model of McGrath, closing in on him here. Of course, he's got a championship at stake. He's catching Anderson and desperately needs to finish ahead of him, and he'd be eyeing off at top 2 here, no matter what's at stake. Taylor with McGrath nipping at his rear guard through the centre section of the track. McGrath so clinical through this area, and he's got him. He served Taylor up big time. A superb block pass from Jeremy McGrath. How many times he cut passes on people in that area. He is super quick through that 5-jump section, and he manages to nail people through that sweeping left-hander. Well, he's dispensed with Taylor. He's dispensed with Anderson and Hurley. Can he dispense with the Burner? Michael Byrne giving it everything he's got. Really having to dig deep here. Remember, his tonsils were removed only a couple of weeks back. McGrath challenges. Byrne comes back at him. Jeremy to the inside, and he takes the lead. The crowd going berserk. Perhaps the finest race, the best final we've seen here in Melbourne ever in the history of Supercross Masters competition. Jeremy McGrath, this man is unbelievable. Already he's gapped Michael Byrne by a good 6 bike lengths. Remember, it's one thing to pass somebody, but to just go ahead and leave them in your wake is another thing. His fitness, absolutely unbelievable. Of course, the A-mains in the States a little longer than the ones we've got here, but remember, this is the 2nd day in a row that each of these riders have had to go at it over 20 laps. And McGrath now pushing just as hard as he did on the opening lap. Michael Byrne now desperately trying to hang on to 2nd place. A very fit and determined Cam Taylor pressuring him, giving it everything he's got, because for him to get past Byrne would be quite significant as far as the points go in this championship. He's been chasing Craig Anderson over the last couple of rounds. He was victorious in Brisbane. So a top 2, just what the doctor ordered for Cam Taylor. And look at McGrath now on his way home aboard Bike 1, thanks to Yamaha Australia. He really has smoked the Australian riders and Daryl Hurley. He's beginning to acknowledge the crowd, who are going absolutely berserk Showtime mania has hit Rod Laver Arena. What a win from McGrath.
Was that one of the greatest rides you've ever seen? What about it for Showtime, Jeremy McGrath? Winner of the final last night and again this afternoon, but it was a bit tougher today.
Yeah, I kind of messed up a little bit on the start there, and you guys that came here for the race on Sunday probably were treated the best race of the weekend. You know, I had to come from behind, and these guys were riding really excellent out there, and it was tough to pass, and kind of had to put a little bit of move on whoever you were passing, and it was a good race.
How have you found the Australian riders? I mean, particularly both Byrner and Taylor up there rode exceptionally well this weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, all the guys have been riding really well this whole weekend, and it's not been some kind of runaway as maybe someone might have expected or anything. The guys have been riding great and keeping me honest, and you know, I had a great time here, and I'm happy to be up here on top.
We've enjoyed having you back down under. It's been a long break, but it's most certainly been worthwhile. How about it, Melbourne? Thank you for coming all the way to Australia. It's been excellent having him here, hasn't it? Jeremy McGrath!
Yeah, I mean, now I've exceeded all the goals, so every Saturday night's kind of what drives me. You know, I just want to be the best I can be every weekend, and you know, I excel for that. And I don't really have any long-term goals. Just I've passed all those, so now it's just short-term and try and win as much as I can.